And RG3, their division foe, the Redskins that is the New York Giants. And we mentioned before you're going to get to them, and you are a Giants fan. And you've seen the Giants play 4 preseason games, but they've won all 4 preseason games. They're 4-0 in the preseason. I don't know if preseason matters to you, but they're 4-0. But they have not looked that good in their wins. Mike, Ritz, why do the Giants seem to look so bad?
Where do I start? All right. Well, yeah, obviously the record means nothing because the reason why we've been 4-0 is because, just on a side note, Ryan Nassib has been really, really good in the preseason. 5 touchdowns, no picks, over 400 yards that he's thrown, over a 60% completion percentage. But, I mean, we'll get to that later. But strictly starting the starters for the Giants, they've just been so bad. Granted, it's a whole new offense that they had to get accustomed to. And it's going to be a transition, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. All these talks that the offensive line was going to get a little bit better for us. I mean, Chris Snead definitely retiring didn't help, but the offensive line still isn't giving Eli any time, so it makes him to have a quick decision, and we don't have as many receivers as we need right now. I mean, Victor Cruz had his worst season of his career last year. He only had 4 touchdowns in last season, and 3 of them were in the first week. So he needs, obviously, I think the pressure's on him to kind of get the ball, but Eli has to get him the ball. But in this new offense, apparently we're going to have a couple more opportunities for slots. So Victor Cruz he's supposed to have a big year, but the biggest thing for me, the only positive I can take out of this is Rashad Jennings. I didn't think Rashad Jennings was going to have as big of an impact as he's had so far, and he's going to be our starting running back. And having Rashad Jennings is going to be good because Eli can't throw the ball every time. Clearly.
And Andre Williams, your backup running back, has played pretty well too.
Your Boston College boy, he has been playing.
I think your running game has been all right, but I mean, you mentioned Eli Manning. He's coming off his worst statistical season since his rookie year. He led the NFL in interceptions with 27
picks. Yeah.
And he only had 18 touchdowns. I mean, you look at, and you mentioned the offensive line. You guys might have lost another offensive lineman, Jeff Schwartz, who kind of had a major injury with a dislocated toe, and he might be out for the year. He's going to see a foot specialist. So that's more offensive line problems for you.
It's certainly not good, and this is, in my opinion, this is the biggest year for Eli Manning right now, because if he has another bad year, everyone's going to talk about it, and he needs a solid year this year. Not even to completely throw Drew Brees numbers, you know. He just needs to keep the interceptions down and just try to manage the game a little bit better because he didn't do a good job of that last year.
No, listen, Eli Manning, he's high risk, high reward. Being a Patriots fan, I've experienced, and you've experienced as a Giants fan, when he plays really well, he can do it in the playoffs. He's a very, very good quarterback. But he also has those moments where it's Eli, what are you doing throwing the ball in that direction? The Brett Favre factor where he just throws it up and then throws a pick. I'm really curious to see what they do. I want to ask you, over under 7 wins for the New York Giants in 2014-2015.
I think 7's the number, Stanko. I think 7 is the number.
You're pushing me. I picked 7 because that's what I was going to pick. I was going to see if you were going to go higher or lower.
I think 7 is the number, to be completely honest with you. I think they are a third-place team in the division. I think it's the Eagles to lose. And I think with the Redskins being as much of a mess as they are, they might have 6 or 7 wins. They might be with us. But I probably have the Eagles looking at like a 10-6 season so far. The Cowboys probably go 8-8, and right now I have us at 7 wins. All this might change because who knows when it comes to regular season, but right now I think the Giants are only a 7-win team.
Yeah, I also want to ask you, we're going to get into later coaches on the hot seat, and we have 5 listed. Tom Coughlin is not one of the ones we have listed for later in the show, but I think he has a little bit of fire under his seat with the Giants. I want to ask you, what needs to happen for him to keep his job as the head coach?
Well, if you made the playoffs this year, obviously he would still be back. But he's getting up there too. I mean, his extension. It's not like it's a long extension. You know, it's just into next year. So if he got fired, it really wouldn't be that huge of a deal because he's been on his way out. You know what I mean? He's proven himself as a coach, so I don't think it's been bad blood. Maybe he just kind of overstayed his welcome a little bit. So I think for me, I don't hate Tom Coughlin. He did what he needed to do. He's in New York, so if he has a couple bad seasons in a row, that's kind of what happens. So, but it's going to be the way. It's going to be the way we lose. If we lose bad games, if we get blown out, kind of like how we did last year, just the types of losses, if you know what I mean, Stanko. I think that's kind of how it's going to be. And,
okay.
And I think it's going to be tough because I still think it's a transition. It's a transition year for the Giants. I mean, you have a new offense, you have new running backs. Odell Beckham Jr., our draft pick, is struggling to stay on the field. So I mean, I think it's a tough situation for the Giants because they're trying to put it all together before Week 1, where we still have a lot of questions, and they're not going to be answered until the first couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I want to ask you also, being a Giants fan, how much are you willing to give them in terms of transition time into the regular season? Like, they're obviously not ready yet, but at one point of the regular season, you need to be like, all right, this offense needs to be clicking now. At what point in the regular season do you get to that point?
I would say by week 3 or 4, if I don't see any improvement, that's cause for concern. Because unfortunately this isn't the MLB, so these games matter from day one. You don't have 162 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you gotta week 1 is as important as week 14. So you can't be throwing out these games and expect to get them back later on because it's football. You never know what's going to happen. So by week 3, if you don't see too much change, I'm gonna be worried. But like I said, I don't have that high expectation of the Giants this year so far. I really only have them as a 7-win team.
All right. Well, the first 3 games for the Giants are at Detroit versus Arizona and then versus Houston. So hopefully, for your sake as a Giants fan, you'll see some growth during those first 3 games and get a couple wins to get some confidence.
Yeah. In a perfect world, if they go 2-1 in those games, I'm a happy camper. But that opener against Detroit is going to be really, really tough.
Yeah, Detroit is a very good offensive team, and they're going to score some points. They're going to need to keep up with them.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Crossing my fingers on my Giants.